Hey, it's been a while, but this one will be part of the Dr. HUMANICS videos. There's supposed to be 10, right? And I'm going to say, would you believe a lot. So would you believe that I deserve the title of the Doctor of HUMANICS because of you? The 99.6% of you, the people primates, the Homo communia, the real name of your species. I saw a snake earlier on this trail, first time I come on it. First time in 12 days I'm here that I walk the trails. I didn't want to go outside of the campground today. So usually when I see a snake, I have to admit I do yell like a girl, and I don't mean that, that girls are bad for things that make them yell. But it is something that surprises me, and I've been known. Ask my ex, the one I thought I knew, she's heard a pretty nice yell of surprise that sounded like a girl when there was a small one close to some stairs that snuck back under the stairs. This one was at least two feet long, I would say. A darker skin with yellow lines, parallel to the body. So, and I'm proud of myself for not yelling, just surprised. And usually after I yell, I'm still curious, right? I don't freak out. But seeing them, I know that there are openings in my used RV where they could come in, but it's not something to worry about or think about all the time. It'd be a useless thing. It'd be an issue with mental illness to worry about this. I mean, there's a way to seal all the holes and things like that, but I don't worry too much because we don't have dangerous snakes here. Such a beautiful forest. That I wish my grandfather was able to see, this west coast of Canada forest. He was very familiar with the other ones in the east coast. So, yeah, you made me the Doctor of HUMANICS. 4 years ago I did a project. It was my first socio-cybernetic project, meant to self-disclose my life, write my biography, but also to make predictions about how you, as the potential viewers, readers, observers, listeners, would act or not act. And of course, my theory was already a theory, right? It wasn't an hypothesis anymore, so it pretty much turned out the way I expected. That's why after that I call myself the professor of socio-cybernetics, and that I wrote on my resume I created this socio-cybernetic program of my own, and it turned out that it was what happened that I had predicted. So in that project from 4 years ago, I did mention that when I was a kid I was interested in astronomy, and I kind of would have liked to follow grand unification theories of cosmology. It would have been cool. I think I was athletic enough and with the right people to nurture me, which didn't exist at that time or place. I would have been probably a well-trained mind to develop the right skill sets to go into a career as an astronaut or cosmonaut as well. But, I was faced with the lack of a human community to belong to, so I kind of ended up becoming more interested in the social sciences. So, taking more psychology courses in my bachelor's degree, figuring out on my own what had led me to not be a great achiever in my academic career earlier on. And today is actually the same. It's just that it's more frustrating because I know, but I'm still again going against the norm, so it's very hard to pursue that. And there are ways I'd have to sell my humanity away to pursue that, because I'd have to do things to conform, and for me it's a big trigger. So I became the Doctor of HUMANICS because I had no choice but to kind of understand not just who I am, but who you are as a species. And it led me to cure the cycles that I went through a few times, which included major depressions. Because once I got my answers about what was happening with my brain in relation to interacting with yours and what was happening in your brains, that I suddenly got all the answers, and that cycle had been broken. So never need to worry about major depressions, even without medicines, so that are specific for that. So that's great. I achieved something that nobody else had ever achieved in the history of who I've heard about, and I've heard about a lot of people in history. So that's great, right? I was kind of saying, wow, I've done something that nobody else has done, and that's pretty cool. So the Doctor of Humanics is supposed to be somebody that studies you from the outside perspective, and also would like to help, right? By nature, I'm a culture repair. I want to help people solve problems, teach them things so that they can help themselves. But again, I was born at a time where it's too late to make a difference. So I focus more on studying you from the outside perspective, so I could leave a blueprint of any other potential Doctor of Humanics. But as I write my description of it, and my own history, my own biography, not letting somebody else do it, and being very clear that after I'm gone, don't make me linked to any religions or anything like that. When you say, oh, if only we listened to him at this time, we could have made a difference. No, there's always people that are ahead of the paradigm, and the norm doesn't want to listen to it. So again, I'm trying to show the norm that, hey, stop vilifying others, just work on yourselves, personal development, realize why, not just your grandparents, but the parents and the children never reach the human potential of a maturation process, and that it's getting worse, and that you're falling more behind to modernity. And modernity we can define as maybe the complexity of your societies and how they're interconnected, the technologies that can be more potentially destructive than helpful because you kind of create more of that kind. And of course you have less and less people who understand this type of technology that is widespread, and how to recycle it, how to repair it, how to fix it, because that requires paying attention. It requires not being self-involved so much, self-serving. It requires referencing the outside world. It requires systems thinkers. And I kind of interacted with a lot of so-called systems thinkers, and I can tell you they're not. They don't have a good balance of different types of intelligence, that they might specialize in one tiny thing, which is often wrong and which is often outdated, but in all other ways they are not specialists, and they are even more disconnected to reality and who they are and what the state of the real homo communion world is. So I've become the Doctor of Humanics because I was born at a time and a place and a period with specific problems to solve that led me down that road. It's not really what I wanted to do. And when I interact with you, all it confirms is that my theories are accurate, and it's kind of sad. So if I can leave a blueprint and leave a legend, the legend of the Doctor of Humanics, but define it a specific way, that if somebody does a lot of research in the future and says, well, that guy was onto something, and I would like to dedicate my life to that too, even though I'll likely fail. Because, again, without extraterrestrials or somebody being able to do miracles, it's too late. But somebody working on this would keep it alive, so that if, a generation comes where there's an organized way to reboot collective learning in a way that would impact everybody that's still left, and that is capable of human thinking, right, of various types of intelligence, then you would be able to use this blueprint to actually break the cycles of history that you've kept repeating. Just like my own cycles that created deep depressions as part of the cycle that I've broken, there's also a way that you can break the ones where you've always crashed your proto-civilizations. So the Doctor of Humanics is who you've made me, and it's a specialty that I'm proud of. And again, it's not something that I worry about when I say this is who I am, as if somebody that's more competent than me and that understands how I use this term can challenge me in a way to be successful. They wouldn't, right? It's easy for me to go into their thought processes and point out what's happening there, which intimidates them. But of course, they're the norm. They already have the elite status, and they can hurt me in that way, which is okay. It's okay. I can handle it. It's sad. It's sad that you do this, and it's sad that the norm still allows this, and it's sad that it's a type of discrimination that is not part of the popular culture's awareness yet, right? To discredit those that say that, you know, the earth is spherical and not flat. You're still doing that. In fact, you're kind of going backwards. Some of you think that the earth is flat. I haven't read what they think is the tides and how the tides are caused in this scenario, but you know, you're devolving yourselves. That includes your specialist. You might have somebody who's very high up in a certain thing, and then you study their life a little bit and you realize, oh my God, if we were humans, you would be in a mental institution for these other things, but luckily you're not humans as a species, you're the Homo communis. So these people are walking around having more and more negative impacts on you. So the doctor of humanics understands what the professor of socio-cybernetics understands is these feedback loops. And there's too many in place now that are making things worse. So the crash is coming, and the important goal for me is to actually prepare things that, you know, would be able to break that cycle so it doesn't repeat again. And it would never repeat the same way, because this particular cycle has, again, radioactivity, radiation, plastic, microparticles, pollution, toxins. It has unbalances in the natural world that has never happened before, and also in the chemical world. And it has, so many weapons of mass destruction. And then it has zombies walking around, right? You guys who just are clones and you want to hire clones of yourselves. And when your systems are failing, like medical or education, is you just, oh no, there's not enough people that want to work there. And really, many people want to work there, except they're not clones of you who are breaking your cultures, so you feel uncomfortable hiring them. And they wouldn't succeed anyways, because the norm is too strong now. It would win. So all these things, put them together, and Professor Dunlap, he kind of didn't know me too much in that video on the MSC Eco 620 of 2021. So he doesn't realize that I probably am more aware of the state of the world and the human condition than he is. And that he did admit that he wants to focus on one thing right now that is within his lifespan, and not think too far in the future, although, there's children that he has. So again, not everybody, even at your highest levels, is able to deal with reality, without cannabis, which makes you less able to deal with reality very quickly. At more than maybe, I just smelled it again, at more than maybe 5% of reality. So a doctor of humanics had to study you from the outside perspective, and can do many workshops and describe things, and could even do it with predictive abilities. So let's say there's a series of 4 workshops, and there's things happening in current affairs, current events. Then I could say, okay, this is likely to happen. And I could also say, hey, what do you think is happening? And then also teach people to know that they weren't following the news properly. They weren't really aware. They thought, okay, there's this side wanting this, choosing this, acting like this, and then the other side is like this, and probably this will happen. Or we wish this will happen. They don't realize their wish is what they think will happen. And then they don't even realize that they're inaccurate about the two sides, what they really want, what they're really doing. And even these two sides are not even aware what they're doing within their sides, because there's divides in their side, and they're again, working on assumptions with the other side as well. So, it's such a far disconnection from collaborations and cooperations, and that I know that it's kind of impossible to kind of help you guys right now, other than just documenting things. And I'm kind of not making a great big effort to make it user-friendly, accessible in a way that, after I'm gone, people would be able to retrieve these things. But building the legend of the Doctor of Humanics, is hopefully, especially if the Foundation series TV show of Isaac Asimov is not totally ruined, and they mention Humanics, then it might be. Again, I knew when I created this legend, this name, this title, that this was coming, right? Because I'd been in touch with, Isaac Asimov's wife, Janet, And I knew kind of the rights were sold, and I knew kind of a little bit what was going to happen with that. So I knew it was coming during my time, and that it had to, because it was the perfect time for it. And this is a story about a helper that's late to present a solution. And there's so many forces at play that it takes the entire life, and that helper eventually just kind of gives up and kind of leaves something for after he's gone to hopefully set things right. But there's, he didn't get a chance to learn everything, and he just wanted happiness, and he just wanted to be sad for a love that he had that he lost. And that's kind of normal, because we're social creatures. And again, me, without even an animal friend to love, not just an homo communia girlfriend, dare I say, finding a human girlfriend, is I have very little motivation to actually, work on things in more organized ways. So I'm kind of a little bit being busy swimming in your river of denial in the opposite direction most of the time.